So today I thought it would be a good idea to take you guys through my 2025 investing wise and kind of walk through my returns, how those have progressed, and then also just the decisions I made over the year. Starting off with the general big picture of my 2025 investing wise, I started with around $13,000, and at that time I'll walk you guys through individual decisions I made later on the video, but just, I mean, I've had a pretty good amount of holdings back then. I was still kind of new. That was only my start of my second year investing. I started at the beginning of 2024. And I was kind of just, we were coming off a pretty strong year. So I was unsure of what to see, but I was just assuming that it would just continue to rise up another, 20 something percent from the get go. From the start, it was kind of it was okay. I didn't have any like huge performers that really drove me up a ton of percentage wise. But then we got to the point in the year when Liberation Day started to come around, and my portfolio dropped from highs around 14,000 all the way down to on Liberation Day, I think it was around 10,000 and some change. Honestly, when I saw that, I was definitely nervous because I just look back at the 3 year, where I was 3 years, and that's just like, or not 3 years ago, sorry, from the start of my investment journey. And, that those 10,000 levels were where I was like 6 months in the past. So basically 6 months worth of gains were just wiped out. So it was definitely scary to see, but I didn't freak out. I didn't sell anything really. And I think I bought a couple things, but really just kind of sat still and waited, and it ended up paying off because from this 10,000, these like 11,000 range, I rose all the way up steadily till like early September to around the 16,000 mark, which is a solid gain. And then that's really when, my individual picks started kicking in. That's when I sold a lot of my kind of like larger stocks and went a little more risky. And that's with Rigetti, and that's with Gorilla, and that's with Newtek. So this original rise here from 16,000 to 25,000 in October, that's from Rigetti only. I made probably, 8,000 or whatever just from Rigetti. And then Rigetti kind of dropped off a little bit. And then I ended up selling it actually. I made a video on that. And then my next one was Newtek, and Newtek went up a ton. So that brought me all the way to 25,000. And now I'm at this point, we're a little down from 25 just because Newtek is down a little bit more. So yeah, that's the big picture of my year. I'm definitely very happy with how it ended up because, from the start, I did not expect at all to be even near 25,000 or even 20,000 when I saw this 10,000 in the middle of the year, but steadily rose up from, Liberation Day all the way to the end of summer. And I was happy with that. And I was like, okay, let's see what I can do to really level that up. And that came with two great stock picks. So yeah, that's basically the overview of my year. In terms of what I'm expecting next year, hopefully, right, I'll go through my positions. Overall, that gives, if you're curious, a 45% return. It was a little higher, but Newtek did drop, as I said, from 25, brought me down from 25 to around 20. But in terms of my positions, what I'm holding right now, I do really like where I am because I'll take you guys through the decisions that I've made throughout the year. But right now, all I'm holding is Newtek, and I'm holding around 10,000 of it. It was even more than 10,000, but it dropped a little. And then this Fidelity large cap index, which is basically tracks the S&P 500, which is kind of just a safety net. And that's also just nice to have because only having, small cap stocks is a little risky. And then also Gorilla. And I have more Gorilla on my dad's account because, I wasn't able to actually buy Gorilla back in the day. There's still, I don't even think you can buy Gorilla on Fidelity just because it's some like, I don't know. They say it's too risky, but I am expecting very big things out of Gorilla this year and very big things out of Newtek. So I really do love my current holdings because I think it's very simple, and I think that's really what works. Just one AI play, again, 250 million in market cap, and really, really undervalued. I think the price to earnings around 11 right now. And then Newtek, which is just hit $1 billion company. They have insane revenue growth. So I'm really expecting big things out of these two. I think these can drive me above 30,000, above, really as high as they want to go. So I'm really happy with where I'm at now, but it wasn't always like that. I can take it through my orders. I had a ton of holdings at the beginning of the year. Really, I had, Apple and individual big stocks like Google and Amazon and Apple and Nike and Uber and all these stocks. But I kind of decided that there's really no point in holding those types of investments when you're holding the large cap index. So, you can see here, I originally bought Uber around February 10th. And then I sold a little bit of it February 12th, but I still did hold a good amount of it. And then I also bought Rigetti on February 12th. This was a very good decision. I only started off by buying a little bit of Rigetti February 12th. And then I ended up buying a lot more Rigetti, $600 worth, February 19th. So, just kind of piling on. I really saw that window there. I made videos on it where, it did drop from $20 to around $10, even less than 10, and I ended up getting in around $9. And that rose all the way to $60 high, but I did not sell. Then I sold around probably 30 because I was, learned from that, and will be selling a lot earlier next time. Especially because, I was reluctant to sell because I maybe saw the long-term value, but then I realized they're burning a lot of cash. So, it's great to just get profit and kind of be out. And then I also bought Nike, a little bit of Nike, a little bit more of Nike. I bought a little more of, I originally bought Nike in the summer of 2024, I think, and that did not do well for me. And I eventually ended up selling that. I also bought my first shares of Gorilla on this account because they let me buy Gorilla, and then I ended up making that's a small cap, and I also ended up making a decision on the same day to sell Apple, Amazon, and Google. I just had one share of each that I bought January 2024 because I decided, there's no point in me holding them if I'm going to have this large cap index. So I think that was a good decision. I think Gorilla is going to be a good decision. Rigetti was obviously a good decision. And then Nike and Uber were not so good decisions. Uber actually wasn't really bad. I think I broke even on Uber, but and then I bought Vistra, which was another one that was solid, honestly. Vistra definitely, it went up a lot. And I did track it. I bought a little bit of Vistra, and then I bought a little more, so I ended up with around $1,000 worth of Vistra. And Vistra, I tracked it down. It fell from 180 to 130, and I was like, oh, I might as well get in. It went all the way up to 215. I sold. I'm not really sure when I sold, but it was around 200 level. So it was a good trade, I think. And then I ended up selling Uber, buying more of Rigetti on April 15th, selling Uber and selling Vistra. And yeah, I ended up selling Vistra and buying Vistra back, I guess. So maybe I had changed my mind. Either way, Vistra went up a lot more from April to the end of the summer. So happy that I held that one that way through. And then I also bought more Rigetti April 15th, just because I saw it was going down a little bit and I wanted to double up, which ended up paying off. And I just, from there on out, I just bought a little more Vistra. I just kept buying more Vistra, just kind of adding my position slowly. Then June 17th is when I originally bought Nutex. It was around 130, and I was very confident in the position, but it did originally go down a lot. And you can see here, really just in between, I just kind of buy and sell my large cap index if I ever need cash on me. That's also another reason to have that, is because it's not really, it's not really good to sell your like single stock positions because, the tax stuff, but a large cap index like that's fine to do that. But I also, you can see here I bought more Nutex. That's just because it did go down to around like $90 and I decided to double down. I think that's another thing I learned this year is, if you're confident in a position and if you want it to become a big percentage of your portfolio, you might as well double down on it. There's no point of just like, seeing it drop and just watching it drop. If you're really confident, I think it says something to double down on it. And if your confidence really is that off that it doesn't end up going up in the next like couple of years, then that's a mistake. But either way, you're losing money. So you might as well lose a little more. And chances are it does go up, especially if it's a good pick. And it will be probably a good pick most of the time over many years. Again, doubling down on Nutex, and then ended up selling my Rigetti. Sold originally here when it rose up to like 40, and then sold the rest of my position in mid-October, when I just kind of was worried that something was going to go wrong there, and it also rose a lot. And I kept doubling down on Nutex. Look at this, more doubling down on Nutex, bought thousands of dollars more. And then I ended up selling the rest of my Rigetti position on November 13th and Vistra, and I ended up buying more Gorilla. Yeah, more Gorilla. That's it. It was basically just Gorilla, Nutex for the rest of the year. So that's basically an overview of my portfolio. In summary, started the year with a bunch of big positions, a bunch of like kind of smaller positions in a lot of stocks. And then slowly as the year went on, I had some very good picks. My best was Rigetti and then Nutex, but I ended up selling Rigetti, and now I'm just really dealing with Nutex and Gorilla. And that's what I plan to do this year, is that if one of them drops a lot, I plan to just continue to buy them unless I find another really nice small cap that I think is going to go big. But until then, I think I'm just going to stick with those two. Yeah, that's basically my 2025 overview. A little unrelated, but I don't really talk about this much on this channel, but I am a senior in high school, and I recently did get admitted into Northwestern University. So I'm going to make some videos there too, which will be exciting. Maybe just some vlogs, or I don't know, but from here on out until the start of the school year, I might not post every week like I usually have been. But I am very excited to get to Northwestern, and they have continue to make videos about investing because they have a great business program there. It's not undergraduate but graduate, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching my videos this year. If I have any more picks, or I'm gonna continue to update you guys on Nutex and Gorilla. Those are my two biggest holdings, really my two only holdings right now. I'm very confident in both of them. I think they'll both have great years. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and yeah, see you next